Bismillah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi. I bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the gift from Allah in person and from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, in his time of suffering and pain. I greet you in the greeting words of peace. We say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum, but it only means, may peace be unto you. You are watching Northwest Stance, and the website is northweststance.com. We are live November 4th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. I want to always thank Open Signal for allowing this program to be so consistent on their airways throughout the years. I want to always thank Brother Daniel for coming to help us to continue this program for our people and for others to listen if they want to listen. In this program, we want to talk about 4 ways of learning. We want to discuss 4 ways of learning. We want to discuss why these 4 ways of learning will keep us from the traps of our open enemy. And he has plenty of traps. We want to discuss briefly, Kanye West, Kyrie, Irving, and the open enemy's constant machinations. Okay? If you are watching live in the city, call somebody and tell somebody to turn to channel 11, Comcast, Xfinity, and check us out. So again, our topic would be the 4 ways of learning. Without the practice of the 4 ways of learning, we fall victim to evil being made fair seeming to us. The whole idea of righteousness or the whole idea of moral precepts is to keep us from evil becoming fair seeming to us, to keep us from being the kind of people that will go along to get along. We take pride in talking against going along to get along. We take pride in our enemy being upset that we don't obey them. Okay? We take pride in that because this is the time of change and the time of truth. Okay? Inshallah, Allah willing, I want to get into also a 1973, August 10th, 1973 article written in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about truth will prevail. Oh, we got a lot to cover today. Allah willing. Okay, so evil being made fair seeming. The Holy Quran reads in the 16th chapter, the 63rd verse, quote, by Allah, we certainly sent messengers to nations before you, but the devil made their deeds seem good to them. So he is their patron today, and for them is a painful chastisement. Unquote. The word patron means a sponsor or buyer. It also means a person chosen, named, or honored as a special guardian, protector, or supporter. So why is the devil today a patron of those who disbelieve, of those who are weak believers, of those hypocrites? Why does the Holy Quran tell us that, the devil is their patron today? And again, that means a special guardian, protector, or supporter. Why is that? The 16th chapter of the Holy Quran, the 64th verse, reads, "And we have not revealed to you the book, except that you make clear to them what they differ about." It has a guidance and a mercy for a people who believe. As a guidance and a mercy for a people who believe. So the believer has to be guided. The believer is not some super machine, some super spiritual being that does not have to be guided. And the believer has to be guided into strength. That means he has to pay attention. That means she has to pay attention. Thusly, our topic today, the 4 ways of learning. And we're going to get into what those 4 are. The last time I was on October 7th, we just introduced that term, or that thinking, 4 ways of learning. And I want to come back and actually do a full hour on this. So learning is what establishes in our hearts the practice of moral precepts. And standing on truth has value or merit when we continue to learn and study. Striving toward, this is very important, striving toward becoming a properly developed believer is continuing to know more about what we believe. So we are believers. There is some talk by quote unquote woke folk that we are knowers now. We're not believers. I don't want to be a believer. You are the fool. Because when you think about the word belief, when we come into this universe, when we are born, we start on belief and then we grow to learn more about what we believe. That's the process of gaining knowledge. Without being a believer, man, you are just a intellectual pig or nut trying to read things and then regurgitate it without any understanding. So you have these people today that read and think they study. Real talk. That read and think they. This is why we see of great importance our people learning the 4 ways of learning. Because we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We are going into a future now, a bright future for ourselves, and the enemy will not be a part of it. But he's trying to hang on with lies, deceit, and with wickedness in every station of life. Not only with the entertainers and the athletes and others, but also in the medical field. He's a real devil. They even explain how underhanded they are in these stations of life. But you gotta know how to research and find that. You ain't gonna find that on the enemy's corporate control media. Because they're corporate control. Did you notice? Can you reflect on how this enemy did the minister many years ago, and now they try to black him out, of the media and so forth? We talking about our brother Kanye West and Kyrie Irving and so forth, concerning the Jews and the Jewish power and their control over black artists, the black athletes and so forth. Let us remember, and when we remember this, we'll understand the prophecy behind it also. This started officially. This started in 1984 when the minister, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, stood up to speak up for the Reverend Jesse Jackson when these Jewish fellas and organizations threatened Jesse Jackson's life. And actually had protests, having signs, ruin Jesse. We used to always say back in the 80s when he was running for president, run Jesse, run. They had signs throughout New York and other places, ruin Jesse, ruin. These same people, the same kind of Jewish thinkers, are pounding on Kyrie Irving today and Kanye West today. And what's so great and wonderful about this is that it is exposing to the root now why these people want to keep us subjected. Okay, we have been their cash cow. Not only them, but when the Koreans come here, they teach they teach the Koreans how to come to America and go to the black neighborhoods and set up shop. They teach the white Arabs that also, the giant come lately Arabs. Okay, but look, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Mr. Farrakhan wrote, "We are getting into the 4 ways of discipline." Mr. Farrakhan wrote about discipline in an article headed "No Discipline, No Love." I wanna read a few words that he shared with us in this article. This article is many years old, but you can Google it. You could also article search it. It's on Google and it's in our search engine on our universal information engine, finalcall.com. Finalcall.com. So again, the minister wrote about discipline in an article headed "No Discipline, No Love." He wrote this, quote, "It is not an accident that the companions of Jesus were called his disciples. In the word disciple, we have the word discipline. A disciple is one who's in the process of being disciplined or is disciplining him or herself according to the teachings and way of a master." Unquote. So, the 4 ways of learning is wrapped up in the ways of a master. When we study the scriptures, and we're going to get into the scriptures also and why we believe the scriptures and why these woke folk and their thought process concerning the scriptures is totally needs to be tuned up, I would say. It definitely needs to be tuned up. The 4 ways of learning, again, is wrapped up in the ways of a master. The 4 ways are reading, observation, conversation, and experience. Now, check out these definitions in accord with us properly benefiting from the 4 ways of learning. Sublime. We have examples of human beings. We have excellent examples of how a human being is supposed to develop their character, how a human being is supposed to actually be the kind of expression that shows that God is within them. These human beings have sublime morals. And these human beings that have sublime morals, the enemy of God, the white man's world, always try to undermine their character and who they are and their true self and try to shield that from the public. You know, many people understand now that the enemy's media, whether it's the full media, magazine, newspaper, television, it is bent on, or it is directed toward making us to bow to our low desires. So when you have human beings that come against the grain, and we are speaking of Master Farad Muhammad, the great God, the great Mahdi, Allah in person. We are speaking of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, the messenger of Allah. You know, the one who escaped the death plot that was hatched on him February 1975. We are speaking of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Jesus in our midst. That Jesus, that word means Savior. Okay? Look into your book of Revelations. It talks about that the God will send saviors after us. We have to understand what we are reading. When we do not understand what we are reading, then, you know, we are just reading, not studying, as I said earlier. So the word sublime means lofty, grand, or exalted in thought, expression, or manner, of outstanding spiritual, intellectual, or moral worth, tending to inspire awe. Yeah. So why do we have in the Bible where Jesus is recorded to have said that a prophet is without honor except is with honor, except in his own land among his own people. It is because that prophesied character comes to get a people that is supposed to be and that will be the catalyst for the whole world to come back to God and to glorify the God within. That is the black man and woman here in America. And if you notice how the enemy is working, he tries to put the LGBTQ whatever Q community in their plight or their experiences right next to the black experiences. He tries to actually compare the black experiences from our sojourn of slavery among this enemy. He tries to compare it with, well, minorities coming here, immigrants coming here. Well, we all have to work together now. So even though the black man and woman have been under the foot of oppression and tyranny for over 400 years, we got immigrants now, so we got to look at it differently. No, we don't. Because the Bible, God even threatens the people with believing that. Okay? The Bible said it very clearly that when he came forth for the salvation, look at the science in this. When he came forth for the salvation of his people, the nations were angry. Why were they angry? It is because of what the enemy has done to the mind of the people, that they mock us when they shouldn't mock us. And I mean other immigrants that come here, even our own African brothers. All of this is to be solved today. Oh, we're in a great time, but also a terrible time also. Ain't no doubt about that. This is real. How can we say that? Well, yeah, this is real. The word morals, the word morals mean of or relating to the judgment of right and wrong in human behavior. Ethical, expressing or teaching an idea of right behavior. So, let us look at what is right behavior. What is right and wrong? Have you experienced a society where they teach you to go along to get along, or anything goes because that's freedom now and so forth? No, these people have been duped by the great Satan. They have been duped by the great Satan that actually makes them think that being a homosexual is all right. It's my preference. It's my lifestyle. Being a lesbian, it's all right. It's my preference. It's my lifestyle. Smoking cigarettes, it's all right. Committing adultery, it's all right. We all got our imperfections and so forth. If we all got our imperfections, then that means we all got to work on our imperfections. We don't say anything goes. Then you have a dirty, filthy society. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. So again, the 4 ways of learning: reading, observation, conversation, and experience. The word, we're going to get more into this now. I'm just trying to pace it how I wrote it, Allah willing. Literature means written works, especially those considered of superior or lasting artistic merit. That's the scriptures. Yeah. That's the scriptures. The scriptures are artistic work. It has such a high merit. It's high mathematics. Even though the scriptures have been tampered with, in the tampering, we can glean the guidance when we pay attention to those human beings that is on time and in time. There's no such thing as, this leader of the 1800s, this leader of 2,000 years ago, this leader or prophet of this or that time. We got to continue to repeat and regurgitate what they said and taught. That is true. We need to absorb it. But since God is not dead, and since the sun shines anew every day, well, what about the God sending us human beings in our time, on time, to guide us through the epochs of time that he has defined? that he has defined. So, experience means practical contact with and observance of facts or events, encounter or undergo an event or occurrence. The process of acquiring knowledge by fully and or directly participating in an activity. That's experience. Reading comprehension. I want to save some time by not reading all these definitions, but reading comprehension, that's a term. Observational learning, that's a term. Conversational learning, that's a term. Okay? So, the 4 ways of learning, reading, observation, conversation, experience, is captivated and wrapped up in the oft-repeated prayer of the Muslims. And this oft-repeated prayer just doesn't mean that just those who say Assalamu alaikum, just those who learn Arabic, just those who call themselves the word Muslim, the term Muslim, can say this prayer. This prayer is for every human being because of the universal principles in the prayer. In the prayer. So, the 4 ways of learning are captivated in these oft-repeated verses of the Holy Quran. Oft-repeated prayer of the Holy Quran in these verses. It reads, Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, master of the day of judgment or recompense. You do we serve and you do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. What is scriptural exegesis? Scripture, according to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, God told him, is wisdom and guidance written in advance. Scripture, in that word scripture, look for the word script. S-C-R-I-P-T. This is why, just like any script, for a theater, for a movie and so forth, it's written before the actual happening. Well, this is why the scientists and the highly intellectual historians of scripture use the word prophecy, use the word as it is written, or fulfillment, because these books are that important, the Bible and the Quran. Script means character and events written before the actual happening. Exegesis means a certain explanation or interpretation of a text, especially of scripture. So, we need to get up to date or just remind ourselves about what is going on with Kanye, with Ye, and with Kyrie Irving. Look, in the Bible, we have proven not only the Nation of Islam ever since its inception, that's 1934, okay? we have taught and proven that we are the people of the scriptures. We are the people of the Bible, wherein God will actually make us a people after our enemy have made us less than that, has made us no people at all. Those people are called in the Bible those who are the chosen of God. And when you think about what Jew is, or what nation of Israel is, or what the children of Israel is, look at all of the terms in that. Look at the pronouns in that. When we say we are the children of Israel, that is explaining that we have been captive. We have been captured by people, because of is the possessive pronoun. We have been captured by people that has made us other than ourselves. So when the God talks about he's going to loose the children of Israel, he's going to loose us from a people that are no good, that has used us for many decades. You know, some of us, it was I guess reported on the mainstream media, which I like to call white stream media, with their Negro imps. Negro imps. Like it or not. Okay? So, it was reported, I guess, that, these these owners of these football teams and these owners of these record companies, these owners, why they call themselves owners? The slave master were the owners of the plantation. These enemies know. That's why they still use that term. These enemies know they can't even get away from, that slave master mentality. That's why they are being destroyed. They can't even get away from it. That's why they actually build up these stations in life, the NFL, the basketball league, and they control the athlete. The athlete can't even speak their mind with the artists. You got Michael Jackson, you got Prince, who says certain things, and then they have to go to war with the record companies and so forth. Even Whitney Houston. Okay, I mean, there are many of them. And many of them today that are still living can tell you about how wicked and controlling, those Jewish fellows that own and run all of this treat them and treats them. Okay? So we're breaking out of all of that now. All of that. Because it is time that we break out of that. It doesn't matter how many Negroes they put, up. They put a camera in their face, and then this Negro, because of his lack of knowledge or his fear of white people, just scared of them for some reason. Who are they, man? Who are they? Truth is truth. Truth is truth. When Ice Cube said in 1991, I'll never forget this, when he had to leave NWA, he told the homies, y'all let a Jew break up my crew. That's real talk. Y'all let a Jew break up my crew, on that track called No Vaseline. But this is so, we have proven now that these people that control all this, they want to keep us subjected to them. Have you thought about it like this? Do you remember back in the 80s and 90s with the television talk shows? Even on C-SPAN, even on the news. They always, the culture back then was to always have opposing views talking it out in public so that people can actually make their choice. Think about that. Especially the Donahue show and shows like that. It was always a person who had this view, and then the other person had their other view, and then it was just a conversation where they just disagree to disagree, agree to disagree, or just agree with each other like, oh, okay, I see better now. But today, this enemy, they don't want to use their medium to have opposing views conversate so that we can all see and choose for ourselves. Think about that. When this vaccine came out and they were trying to push it on a lot of people, they were trying to force you guys to take that poison, okay? And so they wouldn't, on CNN, all of them. And stop thinking that Fox and CNN are different. They're the same. They're the exact same enemy. But all of them, you never did. You can go on YouTube today. You can research today and see white doctors explain why the vaccines from all of these from all of these companies that's making vaccines is no good. White doctors, scientists are explaining this. But for some reason, there is a reason though, but the mainstream media, the white stream media, they don't want to have that conversation with opposing views and let us choose for ourselves. Now, I believe in live and let live. A lot of us believe in live and let live. So I have no problem with people that took that vaccine. That's fine. What we are saying is that you should have no problem with us that didn't take it. Because hey, it's live and let live. If you have that kind of mind, then hey, you on the right track. May Allah bless you. But there are people that have been so engulfed with propaganda and disinformation that they actually think those of us that did not take the vaccine, did something wrong. but we have the actual proof that vaccine is harmful to the body, but there is ways to actually combat that if we do it in time and on time. And even Dr. Alim explained how in this time frame, well, not any time frame, but anyway, he explained how important prayer, the power of prayer, the power of prayer actually can direct and heal us from a cellular level. A cellular level, real talk. Okay? Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked and said, this is part, you see, a lot of us, man, that try to talk about the minister and Malcolm X and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and so forth, you really don't know the teachings. And if you think you do, you have comprehension barriers. You don't know how to actually retain knowledge. So you read something, you read a book here and there, and for some reason you tell yourself that you know something. But no, it's just reading. It's just reading. I want to say this point before I forget. Everybody should go on YouTube. You know, there is a man called Brother Jabril Muhammad. He is a confidant and a friend of the minister, ever since 1955. A lot of his videos, audio and video, are on YouTube. He did a lecture entitled How to Study. Oh, it's a good lecture, man, on YouTube. You should really go to YouTube and pick that up and study it. Listen to it and so forth. Okay? Now, I want to get to this point. Some describe the plight of black people as being the Achilles heel of the world. Achilles heel means fatal weakness or vulnerable area. Not only are we the world's fatal weakness, because the more you try to ignore our plight and destroy us, the more you are pushing yourself into a certain doom. And this has been proven. You think about this enemy, how they put heroin into black communities, how they put crack into black communities, how they actually put poison blankets among the Native Americans, how they actually put up that Planned Parenthood, and that Planned Parenthood was actually started by a Nazi white woman. And she was clear about that. This is not no-brainer. That's a part of her history and so forth. You know, so when Kanye West talk about, you want to have me go to the Holocaust Museum, let's go to Planned Parenthood. You know, you got women who was tricked into that. And now they are victims of that in their own mind and spirit. But God can heal that also. He can heal that also, because when you do things in ignorance and then you learn more and you act on that, God wipes away that. From your spirit and your essence, he wipes away that. So that you can actually become anew. That's real talk. So a divine solution is redressing and solving the plight of black people from the abuse of government. You know, let me stop here and say this. I heard some Negro. And there is a difference, man, between a black person and a Negro. You know, a Negro, they want to belong to our open enemy. They can have you, man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that about some of us that will go that way, quote, we can lose you without missing you. We can lose you without missing. This is very serious. The judgment is very serious. The separation is very serious. The enemy of God, the white man's world, since God is not dead and he is changing worlds for the better, he's going. And if you're going to be hanging on to his way of life, his thinking, and being in fear of him, you're going with him. It's live and let live. But hey, we have to make this clear so that we can continue to actually grow into truth. And that's what's important. That's what's important, man. When we learn truth and we try to practice it and we share it, that's what helps us to build our character and to be better. There are 3 groups of believers according to the Holy Quran. Some just thought that a believer is a believer. Nah. Holy Quran tells us there are 3 groups, 3 kinds of believers. And we should be striving to get into the highest category of what a believer can be. The Holy Quran says that the first believer are those who wrong themselves. But they're a believer though, but they wrong themselves. The second believer is those who take a middle course. Take a middle course. The third believer are those who are foremost in the deeds of goodness by Allah's permission. That is good. That is good. So we have been through physical bondage, government abuse, and belittling, and mocking and belittling now by immigrants. From their ignorance, they just don't know. And then the enemy actually feeds their ignorance by helping them to think that they know what they don't know. That's a serious problem for society, for neighborhoods, for communities, for families, and so forth. Okay? And I want to make a quick point about, some are saying, well, man, why are you guys talking about this Jewish community got all this control? And how is that? How they got all this control? It's not too many of them. They got all this control. Ask yourself, man, why in South Africa when apartheid was strong, why was 6 million whites ruling 30 million black people? How does that happen? How does that happen? Okay? So you can't say just because it's a small group, man, why you guys always just a few of them? You are the perfect tool for them to use in attempts to try to continue to keep a veil over our eyes. But that's breaking up big time. That's breaking up big time. I don't want to go too far in that. But I want to make sure that we understand that those of us who are Muslim, those of us who stand with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his stance, okay, I would like everybody to go to my website and check out why I call this website. It's a starter site, and probably next year it'll be a better one, but northweststance.com. That word stance is very important. Okay? But let's think about why we who stand with the minister are continuing to stand with the minister. Because we are studying and we know that the enemy is lying. Lying, man. Big time lie. There's no such thing as remember he used to say, it's only a little white lie. No. He lies to the hilt. He lies by deceit. That's far beyond what many of us can imagine. Yeah. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. I want to make sure people understand that we are not what they say we are. Okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this about a point number 8 specifically, about what we believe. He made this point. We believe in justice for all, whether in God or not. We believe as others that we are due equal. Have you ever, you see, this is how far away from learning many of us are. You guys thought that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't respect the atheists. Hey, you want to be an atheist or agnostic, not believing in God or doubting if there is one? Hey, that's all. Hey, that's all on you. We don't hate you for that, but we can still accomplish certain things even with you being an atheist. So he made this point. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made this point. He said, quote, We believe in justice for all, whether in God or not. We believe as others that we are due equal justice as human beings. We believe in equality as nations of equal. We do not believe that we are equal with our slave master in the status of freed slaves. Hell no, we don't. Look at here, man. All of these people and these Negroes, they're imps. That's talking about. Well, it's a melting pot, and we are all equal and so forth. Look at the communities across the country. They gentrify our community, and then when the immigrants come in, they give them all kinds of loans, and they end up having a community among themselves, beautiful homes and so forth. And they only been here 40, 50 years. And we have a record. It is documented history how the enemy bombed Black Wall Street, how the enemy actually went into certain black areas that were flourishing. And then they had a white woman lie and say she was raped, and then these enemies came in and burned the whole thing up and so forth. When we make inventions and the pioneers, the black pioneers and inventors and so forth, they actually steal our patents and ideas and then cover it with their own people. And then after 10, 20, 30 years, the children that's not studying, the black children, thinking that we didn't contribute nothing. And that's all by design because of the open enemy. Yeah, man. Yeah, we got to say this today because he's no good. Now, of course, we have never said that every white person is our enemy. We have never said that. Look at the language. Use a dictionary. When we say the white man, the devil, we're not saying every white person are our enemy. We are saying that the dominant condition of his society is to go against the laws of God. The dominant condition of his society is he make evil fair seeming. This is why they sell the public cigarettes, alcohol. This is why they sell the public artificial foods and so forth. FDA, that's not really the Food and Drug Administration. And I can prove it. FDA, that's food that devils approve. That's what that is. Real talk. Now look, you thinking that, okay, well, where are 1 million of you guys at? Because I would get with that, but man, you want to see, a million or 3 million or 10 million before you bow to truth for your own life. Well, how worthy are you then? Because it's your life. It's individual. Nobody has the... Man. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to explain, because this is such a hot topic, I want to make sure I explain these points about why ye is right. So I wrote this, and I also want to get to a point. Man, have you ever thought about the dumbing down of the American people? The dumbing down of the American people. The American people today are getting more and more dumb. Their own analytics talks about how the Chinese students and these other students, the Korean students, and the American students are way down the list. When it comes to grasping curriculum and advancing in curriculum and so forth. This is what, the white scientists say about their falling world. The point is, we can actually demonstrate this by making them our witness. But you're still scared. So there's a price to pay for that. The book of Revelations talk about the fearful. And how you got time to get that fear out of you, but at a certain point in time, the fearful will go down with the enemy into hell. Okay? And hell is not under the ground. Hell is a condition of life and mind that the God himself would put us in, because the heavens and the earth were created in truth. Not falsehood, not trickery, not fear, not cowardice. Okay? So I want to read this just like this, how I wrote it, Allah willing. So, ye was and is right. The charge of anti-Semitism is a trick the fake Jews use. It should definitely be a public conversation, but the powerful Jewish persons and groups ye is referring to keep running. The minister asked for deliberative dialogue in 1984, but they keep slandering and engaging in libelous actions. Libelous, remember that word. They are guilty of continual economic sabotage of black endeavors. You see, they think that they control justice, but justice comes from the God on time and in time. You know, they use their newspapers and magazines for libelous actions all the time. And they think because they own it and they run the courts and so forth, that there's no payback for them. Well, that is why it's a time of judgment and a time of destruction of one world and the building of another world. You know, nobody gets away here. Everybody gets a chance, however, to improve themselves and to earn God's mercy. But will we? So, some of these Negroes like to talk about how, well, what about us? What about us? What about us? You know, what about us? Think about what you're saying. You're saying that because you're in the mind frame that you don't want to take responsibility to be on the right team so that we can be a sufficient and strong people and civilized people. So, it is true that getting our foot out of the way will mean great progress for us. As we look within to see the barriers that we have to eradicate and overcome, there is no way to not observe that our open enemies want to covertly and overtly keep those barriers there because we have become, as I said earlier, their cash cow. We got to admit that. We have become this. Do you remember in the 80s, with hip hop in the early 90s, when the enemy first came in trying to offer us contracts and so forth? Well, they offered the rappers contracts, and then they surreptitiously moved the rappers' language over to uncivilized, crazy, sick kind of rap lyrics. And then they purposely moved the youth attention away from revolutionary rap or self-improvement rap, like X-Clan, like Public Enemy. Oh man, like Brand Nubian. All of these rap artists. That was the movement of the mind among the youth back then. Now you can't say that this is a different time now. No, it is a more wicked time, but at the same time, though, it is because of the wickedness of the music and entertainment industry that actually moved the mind into that kind of situation. They could have kept it. They could have kept it on self-improvement, awareness, conscious thoughts and so forth, higher elevation. But they get into the industry just for that reason because they want to stop our great future. But now they are seeing that it's too late. It's too late. They put up a mannequin Negroes on Charles Barkley. Mannequin man. He's mannequin man. They put up these Negroes to go against Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. Same thing they did, man, back in the 80s. But they failed. They are not successful with that as they used to be. Back in the 80s, man, they had all these Negro politicians, man, talking about the minister hate speech, the minister, yeah, we should condemn this, that, and the other, and so forth. How well did that work for you? After all that, the minister still brought over 2 million men to D.C. for the historic Million Man March. And then for the Millions More movement, for the Millions Family movement, he brought hundreds of thousands out. And also, you have the youth today. Just go to Instagram, just go to Twitter and so forth, and look at the young minds today. Telling us how they stand with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's too late for the enemy. But so now he's a diehard. Listen to this. He's a diehard. Okay? He know he ain't got no future, so he want to take as many of us as he can with him. That's the point. That's what he's doing. You want to choose that for yourself? That's sad. That's sad. So, we have been an entertainment for them financially and physically, even medically. We have to admit to observing this. We have to admit to observing this. And that means we have to get rid of fear. I mean, man, we going to die anyway. You don't want to admit to observing how mistreated you have been and still are by these people, you know. And if you admit that, if you get that kind of courage, this does mean that you begin to eat right, you begin to increase your prayer, you begin to discipline yourself according to a master in teaching that are not of this world, okay? And whether we like it or not, you are going to have to, if we survive this, we are going to have to value self-improvement, the basis for development of our community. It will be introduced to us in various ways, but that study was formally introduced to us and given to us by the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan in 1986 in Phoenix, Arizona. Go to our information engine, finalcall.com, and get your self-improvement study guides right away and begin to study that. It is a study for self-correction, self-analysis, a great therapy. A great therapy. Okay? That's not some academic exercise, but it is a divine course from divine through the minister. Like it or not. Like it or not. So, again, we have to admit to observing this enemy and what he's doing and being too ignorant and scared to do the right thing. It does not make sense. It does not make sense to say we should not speak truth until we are fully united and the enemy is weakened. What kind of fool would say something like that? You know, there ain't one victory won where everybody stayed quiet until everybody came together. Somebody had the voice. Another one had the voice. And another one, and another one. And damn, it's on. Okay? So, yeah. This is why truth is spoken regardless of circumstance. So, Kanye West, his controversy is on time. Some athletes and entertainers are not saying what needs to be said because of their pocket streams. They would be forced. Man, I'm telling you what's for to go down. It's stirring right now. It's stirring, man. They would be forced to be men and women. Oh, man. That's real. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus should be studied concerning the behavior of the black artist, entertainer, athlete, and politician. Lazarus did eventually triumph after he completely stopped going along to get along. Going along to get along. Now look, remember, go to C-SPAN, go to YouTube, and just research. Thank you, bro, I got you. And just research things about the vaccine and so forth. Look, A trained doctor made this point about the dumbing down of the American people and what's going on today. It's deep. It's deep. He made this point. Listen to this. Yes, as you notice, people are becoming more and more stupid due to ongoing brain damage from the spike protein creating amyloid prion plaque in brain blood vessels feeding brain cells. These are scientists that's looking into this and so forth, okay? And saying these things. Again, yes, as you notice, people are becoming more and more stupid due to ongoing brain damage from the spike protein creating amyloid prion plaques in brain blood vessels feeding brain cells. There we go. Man, I wanted to read this, but I don't have enough time, but I want to just show it. I'm going to read this next time. In the Muhammad Speaks, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote an article, Truth Will Prevail. I laminate sometimes these old Muhammad Speaks. This is how it look. Truth will prevail. So the next time, I give an hour talk, Allah willing, I'm going to get into this. I thank you for listening. Please tell others. Let me see. Our next show is on the 21st. My older sister will be bringing in some people to discuss some things about community life and stuff like that. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.